Hello and welcome back to the Gaming Podcast Live. I am your host, Miabyte, and I am suffering from allergies today. I'm very nasally, so apologies in advance for that. But we are here every 2 weeks to talk gaming stories, news, and gossip with your favorite content creators. Every podcast, I am joined by an awesome guest host, and today it's actually a return of a very familiar face. It's the one and only Robin Gray. Woo!
I'm back. Hello.
Hi there. Hello. How are you doing today?
I'm good. You?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing alright. I'm a little all over the place. My sister, who's been living with me for the past 2 years now during the entire course of the pandemic, finally got the go ahead to go back to Japan. So like the house is empty. It's now just me and the cat, and I'm like, it's lonely. It's lonely. There's nobody here. There's nobody to talk to, except for all you wonderful people here who definitely can't talk back because we're doing a podcast. So, but we do have everybody here in the Twitch chat at twitch.tv/gaming mag. And if you want to pop on down and be part of that, you totally can do.
Absolutely. And just a quick reminder for those of you joining us live, you can interact with the podcast both here in the Twitch chat, as Mia just said, and in a special dedicated section over in the Gaming Magazine Discord. And of course, don't forget you can keep up with all the latest news and features from Gaming Magazine by visiting us online at gamingmag.com.
I just realized it's been a while since you've been here, hasn't it? How does it feel to be back?
I'm on this side. I'm on this side of the screen. Like normally, I'm on that.
are.
Oh, hang on, that side of the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's my side of the screen now. It's
exactly. It's your side, and I'm never getting it back, am I?
No, you're never getting it back unless
But the good
I get
news is
fired for some ungodly reason. So, yeah.
for old time's sake, I brought back the pop-in mic with me.
Yes, I noticed that you brought back the technical difficulties, and at this point, I think we can only blame Robin's MacBook because
we blame Apple.
Yes, we blame Apple for that. Now, of course, we can't do this alone. We have a wonderful, super special guest this week, and there's none other than the amazing LucidFoxx.
Hi, that's
Hello.
me. Hello.
Hey, Lucid.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm been gaming all morning, watching all the new things on the Xbox show.
That's good.
It's been a Sunday.
It has been a Sunday. I woke up, funnily enough, I woke up randomly at 5:30 this morning. I don't know why. I went to bed like after midnight last night, so I got 5.5 hours sleep. And then I woke up and heard the cat just screaming from the other room as soon as I woke up. He wasn't screaming when I woke up, but he started screaming as soon as he heard me getting out of bed. So I had to feed him incredibly early this morning. I had a nap, but I'm like exhausted today. It's been a nice, relaxing day. I watched all the newsy type stuff, but yeah, I'm ready to talk about some things. I'm ready to catch up on everything that's been happening over the last 2 weeks. Which, funnily enough, that's the perfect time to kick off with the weekly recap, which includes all the games and video games, nerdy type stuff, TV shows that we've been playing, watching, generally doing recently. So I'm actually going to let Robin, I'm going to let you kick this off. What have you been up to since it's been so long since you've been here on the podcast? In that time,
it has
what
been a while. When was I last on the podcast? About 6 months ago. What have I been doing for 6 months? No, we'll stick to what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. So I've been playing a lot of 2 games in particular. I've been playing, and there are 2 games that, if you are familiar with the thing, as chat has just pointed out, it isn't Borderlands actually. I
don't know why chat has decided to choose.
Oh, it's Super Auto Pets. It's a whole thing. Oh man,
we'll get into that.
I'll
question you about that during
come back to that
segment.
One.
Yeah.
So not Borderlands,
not Borderlands,
Lego,
but
probably.
Yeah, Lego Star Wars.
Really?
Which is amazing since it launched.
I hear so many good things about it actually.
It's I mean it's about 13 years or so since they first launched the original Lego.
I think this is
it's the first time
new engine, right?
Correct. First time with the new engine, and I think that's how they've managed to wring 13 years out of one engine, I think, was fairly sort of like kudos to them. But you could sort of tell by the latter games, it was getting a bit ropey. Whereas this one, it's I'm trying to remember the wonderful review I wrote on Gayming for it. But this one very much is kind of like new engine, still the same old Lego, but so much better, so much more engaged. You have a skill tree to play with. You have loads of kind of like what would be described as modern video game stuff. I love the fact also with the engine they've got and the graphics standards they're up to now is that if you're on an island or you're on a forest moon or you're on a desert setting or something, the actual environment that you're in looks like a desert, looks like a forest, and you've gone out there with your minifigures and are playing in the forest. Like the juxtaposition.
So it's not made
it's
of Lego.
No, so the setting and the scenery and everything else is hyper realistic. The stuff in it, like the ships, etc., is all Lego. But the setting itself is kind of like hyper realistic. So the backgrounds are all like a pretty damn good lake or a pretty damn good forest. And actually, if you play with a certain characters for so long, they start to get like little paint chips on. They get a little bit muddy. They get a bit dirty. So the way they've like actually sort of the idea of actually playing with those characters and all those actual figures out in the real world is really clever. Really clever.
I did see some amazing clips of gameplay on social media, and I think it was there's a youngling combo that you can perform.
Hell yeah!
Where I don't know I don't know what character you had to be. Maybe it was Kit Fisto or something like that. But you could like basically juggle young Anakin Skywalker and constantly do the same like drop move to combo them and just fly into the sky infinitely.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Which
some of the best parts I think of Lego is if you stop with your character and let it idle. The behaviors and stuff on idle are hilarious. Like there's one where I think young Anakin is stood there and he pulls out his blue lightsaber and then it sort of flashes red and he just has to sort of like hit it and it resets back to blue again, sort of thing. Like it's just silly little throwaway things like that. It's just really good fun. Really good fun. And yes, as chat has alluded to, Borderlands, not quite. I've been playing Tiny Tina Wonderlands, which is obviously in the Borderlands world.
Great.
Brilliant game.
How's that?
Really, really good. Really clever. They've got a really the mechanics of it is genius. I've seen some reviews where because it's meant to be based on D&D that people are sort of like a bit annoyed that you're not choosing the adventure, you're not choosing like the D&D mechanic, but it's not. It's a game based on the concept.
It's a love letter to D&D, I think.
It's exactly that. It's exactly that, and I think, and a lot of other pop culture references as well. Like there's the level names, for example. There's one which is Die Barred with a Vengeance, and it's just. They're all genius. They're all hilarious. They have an amazing kind of what's called the overworld, which is kind of like a macro sort of top level universe kind of space, but it's set as if you're going around on a D&D table with like bottle caps.
The best incarnation I think that they've done. You know,
absolutely. I have two grumbles about it. One, I actually didn't think it was very long. We completed it pretty quickly, which for what's meant to be and what is a standalone full-length game in comparison to other Borderlands games, it kind of was a bit like, oh, we got to the end of that real quick. And the other one's a DLC, so we got the sort of super special pack that has all the season passes and whatever else, and
like the deluxe edition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So DLCs of yore on kind of other Borderlands are kind of whole stories that are like hours in the making.
Yeah,
whereas
the DLC is I've got some ideas on the full length game that you're talking about, but for the DLC, there's no. I'm very confused.
It's just another level. It's got a really clever. It's got a clever end game, which is so along the way, a lot of the side missions are based on kind of like random encounters. So it's just like a smash and grab sort of 2 or 3 little mini levels, a little bit like the old GoldenEye that used to just throw you into kind of like set areas with set villains, and it would be randomized every time. But the end game of Tiny Tina is you end up with this kind of what they call the chaos chamber, and it's just a replayable thing that just randomizes settings and villains and whatever else. But it's the DLCs are just that, but with a kind of theme applied to them. And it's like I'm glad I kind of bought the season pass, because if I was paying £7 or £8 per DLC, I'd be pissed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
That sounds about right.
That was kind of how I felt about getting the DLC. I was like, okay, well, glad that I didn't pay, and then I'm not paying full price for each one, you know.
Absolutely.
I think it's good though. As far as the campaign, like I think it's interesting. I don't think it overstays its welcome, and it gets the part that I want to play, which is the grinding through the chaos chamber. So I found that as a positive for it to have like a kind of shorter campaign than some of them, because I think that especially like Borderlands 3, the last one, the campaign was far too long for what the end game is supposed to be, which is supposed to be going back through and like grinding and getting to like raid style bosses. So I found that refreshing that they made it a little bit shorter.
It always struck me as weird with Borderlands 3 is that it came to what you would expect to be the culmination of the story, and then all of a sudden you have this whole other section where you go back to Pandora and you're doing all this other stuff first before actually getting to the end of the game. So I completely see what you're saying on that. I played a little bit of Tiny Tina. I did like a sponsor stream for it, and I enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed any other like Borderlands related content. It does kind of just feel to me a lot like Borderlands with a fantasy coat of paints. In terms of like you don't have grenades now, you have magic spells and stuff, which is, if you like Borderlands, that's fine enough. I feel like I was really missing though that like open world to explore. I like what they've done with like the tabletop thing with the world map. But like I don't know. I just really want to get like immersed in that universe and like go and explore places, and like the mission based stuff kind of like messed that up for me a little bit. I'm probably going to be going back to it. Definitely actually going back to it this month at some point, but because I think it releases on Steam at the end of the month, I believe, because it was on Epic for well since it's launched. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going back and jumping back in. But for me, I don't know, it's kind of like a middling to enjoyable experience. I want more Borderlands, but I wanted it to be more like, again, an open world, like an exploration game, I guess, where I could just screw around with my friends rather than this weird like mission based thing that it kind of is. But I haven't played enough of it to put.
You can like, crawl around the map. Like you can kind of wander around the map, and you can sort of find other things, and there's still a lot of side missions.
Yeah, but I guess it's like more so presentation, right? It's more so like how it's presented. Like, do I want to go to a map, or do I actually want to like be in that world and be more immersed in that experience?
I think it's for me personally, it gave me everything I needed. Like it was, I think the inspiration that came obviously from the DLC of Borderlands 2, Dragon's Keep, and then that was just genius in itself. And the kind of the play on the sort of like tongue-in-cheek nature of it, of the players, the sort of like almost the meta sort of references that were out there in the world of you can, that the enemy is way too hard for a first level. Okay, let's change that, and can't we make C4 more sort of fantasy based, and say, okay, well, how about have fantasy 4? And those sort of things. I will say, as sidebar, it was fantastic to have Kieran Strange back in my ears, who played Lorelei, the trans character from Borderlands 3, is back in this one as Paladin Mike. And there's a clever little nod to their character in Borderlands 3 when they talk about a popular barista having lended them their character, which I thought was quite fun.
Yeah, that's super nice. So Lucid, what have you been up to this recently?
I'm not responding to chat as far as Super Auto Pets. That's just a small thing that I've got like on the side or whatever.
Okay.
I've been checking out like indie games though, and I think 20 minutes till dawn actually kind of came out into its full release. It's been a demo up until now on Steam. It takes from the ideas of a couple of different games that exist out there, Vampire Survivors being one of them, which has kind of been something that people have been lauding as a nice little hit of a $3 game.
I've been hearing such good things about that game from like so
Yeah.
many people who've popped on. So
Yeah, so 20 Minutes Till Dawn expands on that top-down shooter style, crawling around game where you're facing just countless waves of enemies, and it takes some inspirations from like Binding of Isaac as well, in the way
ooh,
of like the way they kind of like diversify the characters that you use, and kind of how like the upgrade trees work and everything like that. It's a very interesting little game. Again, it's only $3, so.
interesting. And like, how
Yeah.
is that game presented? Is it more like Vampire Survivors where you're just in a big open plane, or is it like a more dungeon based like Isaac? Where
Yeah.
you're
So
actually...
it's completely big open plane. Like
Okay.
everything stretches on forever.
So
you can just,
very
like,
Vampire Survivors then.
yeah, very Vampire Survivors. I think it's kind of the solution to like I like Vampire Survivors, but it definitely feels samey after a little while. I think this kind of makes it feel like, there's multiple different ways you can kind of approach a game. Whereas Vampire Survivors is like the builds are pretty solved in the way that they work in that game.
Okay. What's the
know.
pull of this one? What's like the narrative? Like I'm interested to see how it like differs itself.
It's you're just playing as witches. A couple of different choices. I think there's 7 in all witches that you can play as. Each one has her own different little thing that she does. Whether it's like you kill enemies and it summons ghouls that attack other enemies, or whether their moves mostly synergize with items that you'll get like later in the game. Some of them just like one of them just has like more health than the rest, like double the health as everybody else. Some of them shoot like fireballs every couple of shots, So, but yeah, they're just like fighting through these like eldritch horrors, trying to live until dawn.
Well, that's actually piqued my interest. Eldritch horrors is always an interesting thing to throw into your games. Speaking of which, you've been playing a lot of spookum games recently. I know you've been no lifing V Rising.
Listen, I'm done with V Rising now. We don't have to talk about it anymore. It's all fine now.
Yeah, I mean, but
I did. I love V Rising. It's very, for early access, $20. It's honestly quite a steal of a game. It is. It's got 4 different separate tiers of upgrades. It's got a ton of different cosmetics that you can kind of like create your vampire castle however you want. It's great. It's a solid game.
Can you sleep with the vampires?
No, but you can make thralls, and you can also I do have a little prison in my castle for willing blood donors. So you can bring people back to your castle, and they'll give you as much blood as you need, as long as you take care of them.
Bring them back for a quick sack.
Yes, that seems to be the way of it. Listen, I'm actually on Lucid's server, like doing like even though Lucid has pretty much done everything, I'm on the same server, like in my own little area, doing my own thing. But I've seen Lucid's castle. It is immense. It is massive. It's quite impressive. And here I am over on the other side of the map, being like, Lucid will constantly come over and try and like get me to move in with them.
I've tried to pull her into it's okay.
Yeah. Here's all the good stuff. You can have it from the get-go. And I'm like, no, I must suffer. I must try and make my way through this game myself, which is probably why I haven't played it all that much. But I've definitely been having a fun experience with it. I'm going at my own pace, so
it's
regardless of what other people try and force me to do.
Yeah, it's got a lot of promise as heading just what it is now. I think it's got a lot of promise for the future. If this is what they put into it already.
Yeah. But that's like early access, right? So I imagine there's like so much more content coming for it at some point. Have they released?
They didn't realize like how popular it would be,
Yeah. Have they, because it's like kind of like Valheim cross Diablo-esque, I guess, in that way.
I wouldn't say I would.
Well,
say
like
Diablo,
in terms of like it's just top-down gameplay, like Torchlight.
Yeah. I think
Not...
I think the Valheim thing is definitely it is Vampire Valheim for better or worse. and it definitely takes a lot of beats that they used when they made Battle Right, and they've just kind of like refined those things. So it's yeah, satisfying little gameplay loop that they've got going on.
Nice. Right, I will keep you up to date with everything that I've been doing.
Yes,
I've
what have you been
basically
doing?
mostly been playing Fortnite.
God,
It's becoming like
yeah,
a
sure,
recurring
sure.
thing for me. That has literally just been nothing but Fortnite. But they had this really cool event that ended off the last season, where
Mhm.
it was this really weird cinematic thing where you got into a giant bear mecha, kind of like Power Rangers or Voltron,
Of
and
course.
you were like shooting down massive asteroids and all the tanks and all this like enemy faction that had like invaded the map.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you destroy everything essentially, and it kicked me out of the game. It kicked everybody out of the game again for like until the next day. The servers went offline. I'm like, oh, damn. I didn't know this was going to happen. I really wanted to continue to play Fortnite, and now it's back. They've like flipped everything on its head. Not literally, but like it's now the vibing phase. So it's just a huge, massive party. There is big orb balls that you can, like a theme park, could go and take it around the map and like swing off things with plungers and ropes and these little plastic balls. It's a lot of fun. It's and Darth Vader is now
I
in the
was, go-
game too,
I
which
was going to
is
say I heard that Star Trek was there. Star Wars, sorry, was there.
mm,
Isn't there Doctor Who coming to Fortnite as well? Did I
I don't
misread that
know.
somewhere? Did I read that somewhere? Have
Potentially.
I just
Well, all I
imagined that?
know is right now I have Obi-Wan Kenobi with an Among Us crewmate as a backpack, cartwheeling across the map, and that's all I need in my life right now. Okay, that's my pick me up. But yeah, so that's Fortnite. Always crazy. And speaking of Obi-Wan Kenobi, I was
Hmm.
actually watching the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and all the other Disney stuff because I still have Disney Plus until the end of the year.
Mhm.
How have you been feeling about? Have we all seen Obi-Wan?
Nope.
Can we talk
Yep.
about it freely? Did you
Yeah,
say no,
you,
Lucid?
no, you can. I don't care about spoilers.
Okay, okay.
I don't know. I've found myself not incensed with Star Wars
Well, I
things for
mean,
quite a bit.
after Book of Boba Fett, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Yeah.
yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
tired of seeing old, haggard versions of characters wandering around on Tatooine, you shouldn't watch
Sad
Obi-Wan.
Boba Fett.
Guess what's coming?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
I watched the first episode of Boba Fett too, and I was just like, oh, okay, this, huh? No, I'm good. Back
mhm.
to just waiting for the next season of Star Wars Visions, I guess.
I got into. I
Yeah.
think I got to season. Sorry, I got to episode 2 of Boba Fett. I gave it one episode as kind of like they're setting the scene. But then when
Yeah.
it got to the second one of like he's still just wandering around this bloody desert, I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm good. And there's the flashbacks that weren't flashbacks and they weren't really helpful.
Yeah.
We're just getting kind of like there's only so many times you can sit around with sand people.
Yeah, and they had some weird, like, indigenous kind of like spiritualism stuff going on
Yeah,
there
just some
too. So,
very interesting ideas there. That was,
Yeah.
very
But Obi-Wan was
confused.
good. Obi-Wan's good. I quite like the idea. And
Obi-Wan is okay. I wouldn't say it's good. It's better than anything else I've seen on there so far. It's not as good as season 1 of Mandalorian, but it's better than season 2. So that's what I'll say about it so far.
I think it gives people most of what they want. I think it's
Mm,
I think what's good about it is it's not giving them everything that they want. Because what they want
mm.
is old like Obi-Wan running around with his lightsaber bossing the place.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Whereas I think what people are struggling with from what I see on the internet is the fact that they're worried about Obi-Wan being emasculated. Because he's running around and he's not as good as he was and he can't use the force anymore and all this sort of stuff. And it's like
Well, he's lost his connection to the Force. That makes perfect sense. Like
it
he
makes
shut
perfect
himself
sense.
off
You
like
completely
Luke
you've
did.
been isolated away for
And
10 years and
mhm.
you've just obviously got more interested in chopping up fish than you have using the force.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like he's in hiding and he has to stay in hiding to protect himself and like Luke. But it also feels like that's a massive excuse for him just not wanting to get involved in things or
Oh yeah,
just feeling like a giant failure after what happened with the
totally lazy.
prequel trilogy, which
Totally
makes
lazy.
perfect sense.
And it sort of tracks with Yoda as well, because Yoda, when you met them and when you met Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, he was sort of like hobbling around and he could barely do anything. because he'd been in kind of not isolation. It's not they didn't have COVID.
Been in exile for so long.
Quarantine, exile.
Yeah.
That's the word. Thank you.
Yeah.
Been in exile for so long that he'd obviously just lost his way.
Yeah, it's kind of a
So it
repeating
worked.
theme. Yeah, and I love where they're going with the story with it. I love what they're doing. I will say some of the direction, the only thing that's getting me is like some of the direction is like very iffy. Some of the choices and like how they're setting up scenes and in terms of like how they're actually like presenting things from a directing standpoint.
The funniest one, and I can't remember which episode it was. I think it might have been episode 3 or something, but it's the one where on the back of the truck and they're going down the road and they have to stop at this laser gate thing.
Yeah.
Of these 3 laser bars that go across, and it's like, oh my god, how will we get across it? And you're just like, it's just like the post at the end. There's a whole load of land around the end of the post. They just walk around
it. Yeah.
Nice.
They just spent ages worrying about how they can get through this thing, and it's just like, I'm round the gate, I'm back round the gate, I'm round the gate, I'm back round the gate.
I'm sure there's some in-universe reason, like had some kind of detectors.
I think it's because they had to take the truck. They had to have the truck. It was a long way. There was nothing to go
that's
and
the
walk
thing.
to.
They didn't get back on the truck after they opened the gate. They just walked.
No, they didn't. Yeah.
So it didn't make any sense. I will say some of the acting is a little bit hit or miss. Again, I love what's her, oh god, I forget the actor's name. Is it Moses Ingram?
Yes.
Is that the actor's name? Yes. I love her to death. I think some of the directing choices with her in the first episode were very weird, but ever since then, for everything that's been subsequent to that, loving her 100%. And again,
Totally.
I think it's down to the direction more than anything else.
Ooh,
and
sorry.
Some of the direction.
Sorry. No. I panicked and I pressed the wrong button on my desk. No, I just wanted to kind of interject a little bit because I think Moses Ingram has obviously been having an exceptionally rough time.
Of course.
And I think none of what we're saying here and none of the sort of criticisms that we're leveling at them is any way related to their ethnicity, their background, their anything. She is a great actor. We've seen her in loads of other things as well. She's brilliant. And I think you're absolutely right. In future episodes, she got a lot better. I think she had a rough ride in that first episode. And I think she had a rough ride. I literally
think it's just directing.
Because they kind of...
the character choices that they chose.
And the bit of the writing as well. They gave her some really heavy, mustache twirling sort of evil dialogue to try to deal with. And there's no way of delivering that without sounding like a pantomime villain sort of thing. And it just...
I think like I was very, very questioning, and I was like, I don't want to like be highly too critical because obviously like I'm being critical of everything within the series, obviously, but I don't want to give any credence to any a-holes online who are just being racist assholes for the sake of it, But like what really shone for me was there's the end of I think episode 2 where she's just walking through. Obi-Wan's like hiding away, and she's just walking through with the lightsaber like in the dark, just talking to him. I'm like, this is so intimidating and so cool. This scene, and like that really says like, yes, okay, they've this is what I want. This is what I want so much. And it really, I think the character really works. And like none of the all of the criticism online, it's so painfully clear to see that it's just based on race. It's based on not only like putting a person of color in like one of the main roles of a Star Wars project, which again in the past has seen the same kind of vitriol come online, but it's also like giving them so much to do, and also like putting a woman in that position as well. Like these asshats online just completely, they literally don't give them a chance. It's really nice to have seen like Disney at least come out and Ewan McGregor come out and make those statements this time to say, listen, it's not okay to be this kind of asshat. And it's literally like they're saying if you're being that way, if you're being racist, you are not a Star Wars fan. You have no place in the community, which was nice to see.
And it also crosses universes as well because Anson Mount, who plays Captain Pike in Strange New Worlds, Star Trek, came out, and there's quite a lot of support coming from Star Trek actors as well. So that was sort of a good bit of sci-fi cast ganging up and sort of pulling rank and everything else, and really sort of protecting their own, which is good to see.
The only other thing that I will be critical of in Obi-Wan, by the way, is okay, so there's a child actor who plays Leia. It's the child actor whose name I forget, unfortunately, but they were the kid in Bird Box. They're very hit and miss as well. There are these scenes where they're like running away from bad people, and it's hilarious because like they're tiny and they're running away. There's multiple scenes where they're running away from people. And it's like you could literally take several strides and just literally grab them. I don't know why they're having this much trouble chasing a child. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so again, that's mostly about directing though, and about
I was going to say, I think again, Star Wars has a bit of a history with child actors. We've only got to think back to Episode 1, where there was far too many kids on screen, and it was all getting very lumpy. And the similar, I think Episode 3 as well. The kid that was in the kid Jedi that was about to be slaughtered. The acting kind of deserved it.
I guess. I mean, yeah. I mean, kids are kids at the end of the day. I mean, you my expectation is that kids are not going to be the best actors unless you're like going into like Stranger Things, which is something else I've been watching.
Yeah, but they need help then, don't they? And I think that's the help bit that doesn't come through. I don't know what it is about Star Wars, but they cannot work with kids.
I will never be like one of these people who goes online and said that this person is a terrible actor. They're a kid. No, they're a kid. Exactly. What do you expect? Not every kid's going to be like the greatest actor in the world. And for what they're given, they do a pretty good job with it. So yeah, they capture like, again, some of the story choices are mind-boggling. With some of the choices that they make for Leia, like being like trusting and then not trusting, and then like causing issues to happen. So you're like, the audience is. You expect the audience to side with this kid here who's doing really stupid choices, even though it doesn't make any. It's fine. That was frustrating about it. So there are a little bit of ups and downs in that series, but one thing I have really been enjoying is the new Stranger Things. I don't know if you all watched the new Stranger Things.
Yeah.
First thing, I want to call them out for separating the last 2 episodes and putting it after a future date, because
I think it's good.
So they can get.
I like it.
You think it's good?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so I don't like binging things, right? I don't like the idea of like binging things. I actually really love the weekly release schedule that other places have.
I'd much rather have weekly release.
The only reason that I'm taking umbrage with the fact that they've separated off the last 2 episodes is because it's such a clear ploy to get you to like sub again the next month because their sub numbers.
Sure, I see
Netflix needs it.
Yeah, Netflix needs it. But like
crazy how I have Plex. So,
what did you all think of this season?
I think it was the best season since season 1. Actually,
Yep.
I think it was a return to form. I think they kind of. Maybe the show blew up quite a bit, and maybe they lost some focus of what they started out with in season 1, and this was a return to that. No more like movie blockbuster like 4th of July style movie giant monster things from season 3, like none of that. Like very practical effects, very monster movie-esque, like they even they have Robert Englund as the main villain, right? Like very going back to the 80s style monster story, and done really well. Really compelling, like acting from everybody that's involved. Kind of missed my Steve and Dustin team up, but past that,
Yeah. They work incredibly well together. I think the only thing that kind of bugs me about it is that it's because of COVID. Obviously, it's supposed to have been like 9 months or a year or something.
No,
since the last one. And
I've heard a lot of people, that are like, well, they look too old. I'm like, well, we had a, there was this whole time where people couldn't be together. No. Yeah.
Exactly. But like I've absolutely been loving it. I love the fact that it feels kind of. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but I love the fact that it feels kind of like it meets Nightmare on Elm Street, essentially.
Yes, absolutely.
I like the fact that, as Lucid said, that it's managed to recapture that kind of season 1 vibe, and I think I remember watching the last season, and I feel like I tuned out halfway through. I genuinely think to myself, I don't actually recall whether I finished that season or not.
Right.
And I think it was just because it was getting more and more twisty turny, bombastic, and everything else. And it's just like, it's obvious they were struggling to try and find a way through that really worked. And I think this one, tighter. I love the fact you had and still have some of those stories happening in sync and then very separate in different parts of the world with different characters. I like breaking them up a bit. And good
I
for
thought
Kate
Eleven's
Bush.
story was amazingly compelling.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We're finally
well
back
done.
to. It feels like she was just kind of left by the wayside for so long. They did the one-off
exactly.
episode in season 2 where it's just like, well, maybe she's got some other people within like this. But yeah, no, that was a stunning part of this season. You know,
absolutely. And I'm just super happy that Kate Bush is now back in the charts, higher than she's ever been.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
I do think that particular scene where that song plays is literally probably the best scene in the whole show. And
really well done.
I will say, I really think what makes this particular season so compelling is that there is a central like mystery there around a specific character. Well, two mysteries, let's say, with Eleven's background and this central character who's Vecna, for instance. And the fact that they kind of like interweave those two, without spoiling anything, they interweave those two stories, and how it recontextualizes stuff from the first season as well is very, very cool. And
it's done extremely well. Yeah.
I also like the kind of bolt-on story on the side as well that's happening over in Russia.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's a nice bit of fun.
Take or leave that, to be fair.
It's interesting. I do think. I think it I think that's kind of like to write off some things they introduced in season 3 and say, oh yeah, well we kind of introduced like a lot of different like portions to kind of have a real villain from season 3 outside of, you know, Billy and everything that happened there. So here's this thing that's still going on, I guess. It's like, oh yeah, okay.
I do feel like that inclusion was like very, very comical in season 3, and it didn't make a lot of sense in terms of the story. Like it just felt like this big budget action movie in season 3. I don't know, I can't remember the name of the film. Is it like Red Dawn or something like that? I don't know. Whenever
like Red Dawn. Yeah.
Like Red Dawn. And it never really like sat well with me, and the fact that they have to like dive into this now, it definitely feels like they wrote themselves into a corner with that particular character, and now they're trying to write themselves out of it again. It's kind of been nice for like the comic relief of those scenes, I guess, but I'm not heavily invested in that because it doesn't really tie into the story. Everything else is so well like neatly interwoven together, and that just seems to be like by itself.
I have a feeling it will do though.
Hopefully, I'm excited to see what they do in the last 2 episodes, and I'm really excited to see where this cliffhanger, where we left it, ends up going.
Absolutely.
That reveal at the end is amazing, but I'm really like the specifically Nancy's character, what they do with Nancy, and where that's gonna go, and the camera trick that they pull as well, the expectations when they're like climbing the rope. And then everybody, you know, everything happens normally, and then when it happens to Nancy, it's just like, yes, okay, cool. That was so unexpected, and like you've got me.
I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know who it was going to be. It was interesting that it was Nancy.
The only thing
I knew that something of that nature. I was like, okay, who's it going to be?
So someone's not going to make it. And it's an interesting choice. The only thing I could live without, and I've got to be careful how to say this without blowing it too much, but with the final kind of like reveal of the lineage of the big bad, if you hadn't have figured it out by the time that segment had ended, we really didn't need that last bit, which really does confirm a certain tattoo, and it's like we've got it. We don't need that bit. We've got it. Like if you haven't got it by this point, just turn it off. It's not for you. Like
the moment that actor appeared on screen, I don't want to go into spoilers here, but the moment they appeared on screen, I knew there was a connection there. And it was so nice. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's so the similarity is crazy.
Yeah.
And again, I'm trying so hard not to spoil anything.
I know. My partner's got a really interesting thing that he does a lot better when watching TV shows and stuff. But if there's a well-known celebrity in a bit part, that's not going to stay a bit part for too long. Like if you're
Sure.
watching kind of like a crime drama or an NCIS, they always sit there going, well, he's the baddie. Well, how do you know?
Yeah,
It's
of
always
course,
been in
yeah.
all these shows as well. And it's like, well, great. Well, let's just turn it off then.
Like, I didn't realize until somebody told me sometime last week that he was the one of the actors in Sweeney Todd as well. He's like,
Right,
Yeah.
and I'm like, all I can imagine is just like that other form of the character, just like singing now, and it's like hilarious in my head. It's amazing. So, Right then, I think it's best that we move on to a section we like to call, well, we used to call Mia bite-sized news, but now I changed it to bite-sized news because I didn't want to sound too big-headed
It's
on the
self-serving.
podcast every
Fair,
single 2 weeks. So, but this is where we go over everything gaming in the news recently. And one of the things that happened in the news recently is Xbox revealed all of its like stuff that it's doing for Pride, including. And I don't know if you're ready for this, Robin.
I am.
You're ready for this? So they sent out specific influencers, these wonderful Pride controllers. Now oh my god, yours is so different to mine. And like I'm trying to keep mine like sleek and nice, and you've gone with like
No, I went batshit crazy.
For those of you who aren't, this is terrible.
Oh yes, for those of you, I was going to say, for those of you listening to audio, we are holding up Pride controllers. The story goes is that last year, Xbox released the Pride controller, which Mia also had one of. I didn't get one, mind Xbox, thank you. But here we go. So for the listeners, Mia's going to hold up the Pride. We'll show you the Pride controller. So that was the one that was released last year, and it has changed actually. I've noticed as well. And it was really, really popular, but they never made it on. They never put it on sale. It only ever got released to influencers. Wow, that is a big change actually. Yeah.
That's the old one.
So again, for those listening on podcast, Mia's holding up two controllers. One of the last year's one and one of this year's one, and it became so popular that this year they went on to the Xbox Design Lab. So you can go on the Xbox Design Lab and you can design your own. So you can pick standard Design Lab rules apply. You can pick your top plate, which is the Pride design. There's 30 odd different flags all tucked away in there, including Two-Spirit, which is good to see as well. It's lovely. And then you pick obviously all the personalizations when it comes to all different colors.
Yes.
And
what did you go for? Also, just to say, this is hashtag for me, hashtag free product. I'm not sure if this is hashtag ad for gaming.
Yes, it's hashtag ad, hashtag
ad.
sponsored as well. Because for full disclosure, Xbox is the sponsor of DigiPride. We'll come on to that in just a sec. Yeah, so hashtag all those things.
What did you get done? I want to see what you got done.
Right.
You haven't showed it off.
Okay. Yeah. So the problem is with that level of crazy going on the top plate, to do anything other than just white sticks, white buttons, and white everything else, you just have to go slightly crazy. So I went for.
I wasn't going to say it looked like somebody threw up on your controller, but
yeah, well, yeah, I did. At least I didn't go for the basic bitch buttons, which you did. So there we go.
Excuse me, this is very classy. Just explain to everybody what you got done, and then we'll move on to my clearly superior one.
Yellow sticks, white buttons, the metallic pink D-pad, which is lovely. I went for trans bumpers and triggers.
Nice.
And I did rubber grips. I have two complaints. One, it's a lovely design, but it is too busy, and you do have to then be boring to make it work in the design. And that's, for me, that just goes against the idea of the design lab. You can change all these things, but if you just do white, and white, then that's just predictable and boring. But the other thing as well is you can do rubber grips on the back, and you can do rubber grips on these sides as well. And if you opt for the rubber grips on the side option, it was going to wash out, specifically going to wash out some of the design and also some of the key flags as well, which is that's about it. But hey,
okay.
I'm bitching about free
You've shown
products.
off your rainbow vomit.
You can also do
controller.
engaging engraving as well. So I did a little bit of self promo for Gaming Mag.
Okay, cool. Well, let's look at my superior controller for a second here.
Boring one. Black,
so
yawn.
This is my one. It's got the colored buttons because Pride. I've gone for the basic black for the actual like sticks, and the actual D-pad because I like to be able to see the buttons that I'm pressing. On the back, I've actually gone for the rubberized grips across. It is covering up some of the design, but I value being able to hold my controller and game correctly while I'm using it.
You
And
just
on the
hate your
back,
community.
I've gone for trans colors, but like
Yeah.
including the whites in the trans flag as well, which is
Yeah,
part of the
that's
flag.
cool.
So
But
I
the wrong pink, to be
personally,
fair. But
you know what? Like, listen, it wouldn't have worked together color-wise if I'd chosen the lighter pink. All right. I like the hot pink. Okay, it's fine. And there's a normal pink over there, so it's okay. But let's just say, like, I've got my own engraving on there too, which you can't really see, but it says Miabyte.
I can't see it.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's too bright. My lights are too bright, but that's fine because I have
Every controller is valid. And that's
every controller is valid, and that's the point, right? You can go into the design lab.
That is the point.
And you
go
can
to the
make it
design
your
lab.
own. So.
Exactly, and you part with £80, which is an absolute bargain, of course. Yeah.
Let's just agree that both are better than last year's, which is nice.
Yes.
But they're very basic, and
What is on the back? What's on the back of last
it
year's
says
one?
"Show your pride on every side." That was the slogan from last year. I'm actually had this on the new one.
Apart from the back, which is white.
Yes.
Cool. So
hashtag sponsor. Hashtag
sponsored. Hashtag ad. Hashtag thank you Xbox.
Yes, thank you Xbox. I appreciate it, even though mine wasn't anything to do with gaming. But thank you anyway. Appreciate you. All right, so now that that's out of the way, tell us about everything that's coming up over the next couple months.
Yeah, we should have done this bit first, really, shouldn't we? Never mind.
Probably, yeah, that would probably been a good idea. That's my bad. I was just so excited about showing this controller to the audio listeners who can't see it.
Exactly, but take our word for it. That it's excellent. It's not worth £80. So yeah, we are.
Hashtag ad. It's not worth £80.
Hashtag ad.
I think
sponsored.
it is personally.
Hashtag,
you know what? If you're gonna go in there,
Xbox told us to be honest. I'm being honest. It's not worth £80.
I'm being honest. I think it is.
Well, there you go. Very good. DigiPride started on the 1st of June this month. We're back for the third year. It's 3 months of Pride-related activities because Pride lasts more than just June. Everyone, remember. And we are running all the way from June through August on Gayming Magazine here on Twitch, our social media, our Discord, all the wonderful places that Gayming Magazine is very active. We mentioned it earlier. A big thank you to our sponsors. DigiPride in 2022 is presented by Xbox. We're sponsored by 2K, Arcade Spirits, New Challengers, Devolver Digital, and Wizards of the Coast. So thank you to all those wonderful people for supporting the queer community and doing all these wonderful things. Across June, July, and August, we have not only our ongoing shows of Let's Go Gaming for DigiPride, this wonderful podcast, which we're welcoming on some really special guests throughout the summer, as well as some of the guests from our sponsors to come and talk about some wonderful things that they're doing. But we also have some special panels coming up, everyone. So this Saturday coming, so June 18th, we have our Rising Stars of Streaming panel. This is our wonderful people from who... start that one again. Our wonderful people from the Gaming Awards who were nominated and won and became the class of 2022 of the LGBTQ Rising Star Award. So 4 of them, Luke Boogie, it's me, Holly, Awkwardish Panda, and Kodagor Chan, are all going to be coming up and talking about their lives and being streaming and being a rising star. So that's on the 18th of June. Later on in June, we have a wonderful talk about the queer history of video game makers. Then we have panels in July about queer games makers, talking about obviously making and creating impactful LGBT games. We've got the wonderful people from Safe in Our World coming and talking about self-care and the importance of mental health for gamers. And then into August, our panels, we have the power of queer comics. We're talking about queer comics. So they're the panels that are coming up. We have an amazing way of finishing off DigiPride on the 20th of August. Is a charity one-shot in aid of the It Gets Better project. And we will be playing, that's a D&D one-shot, I should say. We are playing the Gaming Award-winning Adventuring with Pride. So it's a wonderful supplemental done by the fabulous Jack Dixon. We're doing one of their stories. That is on the 20th of August. We have an all-star cast with the wonderful Cypher of Tyre, Tanya DePass, DMing, and then we're joined by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other wonderful people, including Brian and Eugenio, who have been on this podcast before, very recently, actually talking about. They did 2 weeks ago playing Arcade Spirits with you.
Yes,
Not on the podcast,
yeah,
on Let's Go Gaming, but
Let's
they
Go
were on the
Gaming.
podcast as well.
They've been on the podcast in the past. Just as a reminder as well, we are raising money for charity. All of DigiPride long on Let's Go Gaming for the It Gets Better project. So if you do want to pop on into that and like do donate generously, it's a fantastic cause.
Absolutely. And we have the Tiltify set up here as well, I think. So that should be available.
Yeah, at any point you can use exclamation point
charity
in chat, and yeah, you can donate. Hell yeah.
Give some money to a fantastic cause. We also debuting new this year for DigiPride is some of the esports stuff. So starting in July, our friends over at CMSA, the Chicago Metropolitan Sports Association, who run virtual esports tournaments, are running some fantastic things with us. Some wonderful games. You can go and join them. You can jump into League of Legends and Dead by Daylight and other wonderful esportsy things and try your hand out on some esports. So that's cool. We are in the middle. I think it's New York time. It's still going on today. New York City Gamers is doing their Pride School Festival, which is Extreme 3 this year. It's a hybrid event, so you can go online, gamers.nyc/registration, or you can go, if you're in New York City by any chance right now, you can head on down to Samsung 837 to their physical event that's taking place, and it's all for free. And it's all wonderful. And the last one is our competitions. All the way through, all of our wonderful sponsors are giving away some fabulous things. I can't tell you what the Xbox One is, but it sort of makes sense in what we just talked about. And head over to gamemag.com/competitions. There is one competition currently live, which is from Arcade Spirits, and you can go and win yourself a Nintendo Switch OLED. And of course, a copy of Arcade Spirits to play said game on. And also, I think 5 runners-up also get a copy of the game as well. So,
oh yeah, I will say OLED is definitely worth it, even if you have a Switch. So into that competition,
definitely,
it's better.
Definitely,
yes.
All that and more, loads of articles. Just go to gamingmag.com/DigiPride, and we'll celebrate it all the way through.
Cool. So a lot of stuff to be getting on with there. Go check that out.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about how E3 doesn't exist anymore, but it still kind of exists, and it's kind of like this weird nebulous thing that is like there and not there at the same time.
Someone called it Jeff 3 on Twitter the other day, and I did giggle.
Jeff 3.
I did giggle. I did giggle quite much. G3.
Listen.
Jeff Keighley 5 years ago started out to replace all gaming events, and now he's like subsumed them all. Yeah.
He's getting there.
He's sort of taken it over, pushed it to one side, set it on fire, and then replaced it with exactly the same thing. Because at the end of this year's broadcast, they confirmed that Summer Games Fest is coming back for year 3 in person. So it's kind of like
it will be the E3 said they aren't
E3,
having this year, but they
just
might
hanging
be back
a sign
next
over
year.
the top.
Listen, you can run as much as you like, but Jeff is going to hunt you down and show you his world premieres.
That's right.
It's going to happen. So, how have we been feeling about this non-E3 E3? I kind of thought that the main Summer Games Fest show was pretty mid. If I'm honest,
I'm trying to remember if last year was very good.
I can't remember last year, to be fair.
Because the way in which game reveal shows normally go is there's normally a really hot year, and then there's just kind of And I'm trying to remember if last year was a huge reveal year or not, because this year has just felt like, I mean, a lot of the things they've announced are 2023, right? There's not much that's really like happening this year that we're announcing. So
they all look very samey too. Like there's a lot of discussion.
I guess last year was Elden Ring and everything like that. So yeah, it was pretty hype. Yeah.
There didn't seem to be anything like big this year, like drawing anybody in. I think they ended with like Last of Us news. We found out that the game's being
sorry.
Again,
Last of Us Part 1. Take
you don't want to pay
$70
for the third remake of Last of Us in 10 years?
Not particularly.
Isn't that exciting? No?
Yeah. Or, watch the HBO show in a very long extended segment where they just talk to the voice actors for 10 minutes. It was really cool. Yeah, that was fun.
It's exciting.
Was there anything like that you did love the look of though? Like, was anything that stuck out to you? Or was it like
now I'm trying to remember, like
Saints Row.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
That
It's
is what
true.
I called
The-
my favorite thing of the
The
thing. And it
boss
was
factory
it's a
that you can actually
demo.
go and get
It's
it. Yeah, you can go
yeah.
and get it now and just start playing with the bosses.
Yeah,
And
the
it's
Saints Row
just the character.
reboot.
It's just the character creator. It's genius
Yep.
what they've done. Just cut it out
Yep.
and just chuck it out there. And I've seen so many now have started to be created already.
I've seen 5 different Morbiuses so far.
No, nice. Morbin time. I will say probably my favorite moment of the entire show, not my favorite game, but my favorite moment in the entire show was when they teased that Dead Island 2 had been taken over by a new dev when they started this trailer, and it looked like the Dead Island 2 trailer, but with a different graphics engine. So I was just sat there questioning,
Great
did
job
they
on
move to a
Coffee
new
Stain
studio?
doing that.
Did they let somebody else take it over on a lower budget? What the hell's going on here? And it turned out to be a Goat Simulator sequel,
Goat
just
Simulator
ripping the
3.
piss out of the fact that that Dead Island 2 just is non-existent now, I guess, after the acquisition of whatever studio it was.
Yeah, I
Deep
think you're
Silver,
right.
was
I think the most exciting thing is Saints Row. I'm like trying to reach back. Like honestly, Day of the Devs was infinitely more interesting than anything that was shown at the
Yes, definitely.
like honestly, it just there were so many more compelling things that I saw in Day of the Devs where I was just like, oh, I'll absolutely play those.
All the
You
indie
know?
ones were super interesting, like that Time
Yeah.
Flies game.
Yeah,
I
Time
want to be a
Flies is
fly
great.
for like however
The,
many seconds and just buzz around for a bit.
The
Honestly.
super pixel art game, Underhill or whatever it is, looked really good. And the way that they're going to use like dynamic lighting and everything within the pixel art, looks very cool. Yeah, Day of the Dev just had a lot of winners, honestly, comparative to the show where I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, the Warhammer thing looked fine. The bounty hunter like Warhammer shooter game. It's fine.
Yeah. I'll say, I mean, the only things that kind of got me kind of interested were I think it's called Routine, that robot thing, but there's only a snippet of gameplay there. It's like there's robots. It kind of looks like Terminator. You walk down some stairs and then get attacked.
Right.
And apparently
there's Callisto Protocol, but we already got that at State of Play like 2 days before.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, we got to see like gameplay, but it's like, okay. Well,
I don't think they showed anything that much different. It was just like an extended trailer.
It's just
I
the same
believe.
thing.
They showed off that it will literally be Dead Space.
Yeah,
and that's great because I love Dead Space. You know?
But I think it just there needed to be more editing. There really needed to be that kind of like syncing up between those things because, as you rightly say, you had State of Play, then you had the Games Fest, and it's same. Some of them were the same videos. Even it's like, I sort of understand that, but you've literally like if this was one event, you wouldn't go on one stage and just do the same presentation, then go to the stage next door and do the same presentation. Like you would sync all these things together. So obviously that what they're lacking with this is that sort of continuity between all of these different streams. That being said, Gotham Knights look really good as well.
Gotham.
I forgot that even appeared. To be fair,
yeah, I do. I think it's okay. I am a comic book nerd, so Midnight Suns looks fun because I like Midnight Suns. Not so. I mean, the game seems interesting too because I think it's supposed to be like kind of XCOM-y, right?
Yeah,
I think that's their whole plan for it. So I like that. Also, we get Morbius in that game because Morbius is part of the Midnight Sun storyline, obviously. So that actually looks neat, but I also don't really have a lot of stock in video game properties of Marvel stuff because they just kind of turn to be like kind of middling. But just like as a comic book nerd, I'm just like, oh yeah, Midnight Suns is really cool, like compelling comic book stuff. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Was nobody like amazed at the 5 minutes of Dwayne The Rock Johnson just talking to camera?
God. Hey, who wants to be here for me to shill my energy drink and talk about my like fortress of a gym? All right, see you later. Anyway, here's the trailer for Black Adam. Like,
and the amount of money that exists in that world, and you still had to have him holding his own camera, just looking at as if he's on a call. But hey, don't forget the energy drink.
Yeah. He doesn't have a setup like this, you know.
No. The only thing I care about The things I actually did care about, the fact that like there's so many like down moments there, and it was just boring me to tears in these segments that just went on because Jeff has this weird like obsession with celebrity at certain points. I was expecting Kojima to show up at some point, and then they just have a back and forth of how good friends they are for the.
I was too busy
shows.
vomiting in the first 5 minutes. The first two guests that came on had to stop all proceedings to go, but we're here tonight to celebrate you, Jeff. And this is like, we're so grateful that you do this, Jeff. And it's just like, oh, come on.
Stop this.
Please go and have sex elsewhere. Like, it's just,
I could do without that. Just show me the game trailers. And that's something I actually quite liked about the Xbox Bethesda showcase.
I was just about to say, they shut up and they just got on with it.
Yeah. Which, as it has been, I think it was really transformative, I think, back in 2017 or 2018 when Microsoft decided to make their show just trailers. Like, they'd have a little bit every now and then, and they did that this time as well, where they'd come out and have somebody talk for like a minute or two. But they made a decision to change it was the same year that Sony decided to go like Art House Nouveau with theirs, where they moved from like 5 different locations for all of their reveals. But like Xbox was just like, we know what works. We're literally just going to play trailers and then introduce other trailers. Like, that's it. And it works perfectly. It's a tried and true formula. They didn't have a lot to show off this year, but at least nothing compelling. But it still was, good.
They did one thing,
definitely more memorable.
And they did it
for me.
They did it really well, which is the fact that all of the games they're releasing in the next 12 months. I think that was good.
Yeah, that's smart for them. They did a couple things that you'll notice repeating. Obviously, they mentioned the 12 months thing. They did Game Pass with a lot of these things to let you know that obviously you'll be able to play these day one. And I think it was very important that they tagged, at least important for them, not just important overall, but important for them as marketing, is they tagged a lot of the things with over however many million people play, over like this many people are already excited about this thing. You should be excited about it too. Like that's smart on their part, you know. It's really
and
really
they put
well
a lot
done
of sort of contextual history out there as well.
Yeah,
totally.
absolutely.
And I put a lot of context. Like so many of their games, they were always like, we're going to reveal like the most popular RPG for 30 years. We're going to do this 25-year history thing.
Absolutely.
We're going to really kind of cement in the fact that some of these games are legacy games.
Right.
Here's our longest running franchise, Flight Simulator. Now getting all this new cool stuff.
With Halo in Flight Simulator.
Well,
come on.
I was about to say, I know for a fact Nicotine is gonna like be amazed at all the new Flight Simulator stuff. Maybe not Halo, but
but I mean, it's just genius, and I just think that the promise of a game, like people watch this and they want to get excited about playing games, but they want to play the game now. Like, what's the point, really? I know what they're up to, but what's the point in having like state of play? Like, here's one more clip from Final Fantasy 16 that will be out somewhere.
Who knows? Yeah,
whenever we feel like it. But in the meantime, I'm just going to toss you a tiny little snack, just a little snack of that, and that'll keep you busy for another year or so and distract you from the fact we haven't done anything else recently. And I just think it's like, Xbox, very clever. Here's what you're going to play in the next 12 months, full stop. Oh, and by the way, most of it's on Game Pass, so keep buying Game Pass, please.
Right, yeah.
And seriously, who wouldn't? This is not hashtag sponsored, okay? This bit is not hashtag sponsored. But who wouldn't buy a Game Pass these days? Obviously, people that don't have Xboxes. But even if you had a PC, buy a demo.
Go
and buy a Game Pass,
Yeah.
Well, now and it's also on Samsung TVs.
Oh yeah, they have the cloud gaming too.
They're bringing cloud gaming to Samsung TVs.
I literally used that today to log into Fortnite because I didn't want to start up my gaming PC. I literally used it to log into the Fortnite and check the Fortnite store to see what new items were on there. That's what I use it for. But it's still not usable at this point. I don't think any cloud gaming services are that usable unless you're playing like an RTS.
No, unless you have a huge a completely consistent internet connection. Like, cloud gaming just takes like so much.
Exactly. Was there anything that there are so many resources that you need for that unless you're living in a city with like Google Fiber, it's not going to work out. Was there anything that jumped out at you from the Xbox thing? Again, I'm really excited for Redfall. It's another Left 4 Dead kind of thing, and I'm hoping it's better than Back 4 Blood.
I want it to be good. I was so excited about Back 4 Blood too, and then it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
No,
decided to do it
actually,
Back 4 Blood.
yeah. I tweet where was it? I tweeted about like the thing that I wanted to play. Just so I
I
can.
think I squealed the most about Diablo 4. We all know it's coming.
Yeah.
But the fact it had a
yeah.
presence in this show now
Yeah.
confirmed that it's coming in the next 12 months.
And then it'll be on Xbox, you know? Yeah, I mean, you know, that's something. Also in a similar vein, while we're talking about like how smart Xbox is with Game Pass, I think it's brilliant that they have Riot on there offering all characters for like
That
League of
was so
Legends. That's huge.
interesting. It's
That's
literally like, here's every single character in League
Yeah.
of Legends that you wouldn't
Yeah.
get by playing it unless you paid for them. You get them on Game
That's
Pass. That's like such
yeah.
a big brain move.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's brilliant for them.
while you figure out what game you're looking forward to, the
I
biggest
found it.
brain.
You're good.
Okay, but the biggest brain move I saw was Persona 3, 4 Golden, and
Yeah.
5 all on Game Pass. It's like these
Yeah.
games, like you have to play them sometimes on an emulator for like Persona
Yeah.
3 because it's portable, right?
Yeah.
And like you literally have them all now. You can probably get them on PC. And I'm just amazed at that. Like I'm not even that big of a Persona fan, but like I
Oh, I love
squealed.
Persona,
I was
yeah.
like, yo, I can finally like stream this and not have to like bend over backwards figuring out how to hook up like getting an emulator or hooking up a PSP or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Raven Hill or whatever, that was one of the games that I thought was the BitPixel Alice in Wonderland.
Yes. I think one of my chatters called it Alice in Pixel Land.
Yeah, that was one of the highest things that I was excited about during that showcase. But the last case of Benedict Fox is, I think, the game that spoke to me out of
very good.
most of that gaming showcase.
Yeah,
It's
very,
very
like-
interesting. It's the side profile, kind of like Shadow Complex style, Ori, these types of games.
Kind of felt like a little bit Limbo-esque in terms of the settings.
And it is
like,
extremely Lovecraftian. I super excited. Like the graphics look beautiful. You know, the color palette's definitely very Ori. It's that's a game that I'll absolutely be playing immediately when it comes out.
That game was called Ravenlock, by the way.
Ravenlock, yeah. Ravenlock looked very cool. There was like another one too that I was really interested in. There were none of the AAA stuff I was really like wowed by, you know? Like, but a lot of the smaller things, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is something I can get into.
I'm curious about Starfield.
I'm not. I've played Outer It's great.
Listen, I've listened to Todd Howard wax poetic about Bethesda games before, and like as good as that looked, as interesting as that looked, I don't know if I can trust Todd Howard to tell any kind of truth. Like you can land on
1,000 planets is going to become 400 planets, 2 planets.
And
you can go on this planet.
It feels very No Man's Sky at this point until they actually like have some kind of proof of concept. I'm just literally not getting my hopes up for anything. I mean, I'm not a massive like Bethesda fan. I'm not a massive Fallout fan or Elder Scrolls fan or anything like that. I get like choice paralysis in those games because there's like so much to do and it's so open world and I don't really interact with those games great.
Well, I mean, not just Todd Howard, but I also remember the promises of No Man's Sky and how like you'll be able to. They'll all be different. We promise.
It's game changing.
Yeah, like Todd, I want to know how you're going to be able to differentiate like what No Man's Sky wasn't. Like how you're going to make each one of these planets feel unique and interesting and different than the rest.
That's it.
How's that going to work? Yeah, because that's always the biggest problem with these games.
How can you get 1,000? I mean, you can, but how can you honestly get, and how can you get staff and creators and whatever else to do 1,000 different planets?
Is it like procedurally generated? Is it like crafted? Because that's a lot of work for crafted. And if it's procedurally generated, you're just going to be landing on a planet. Is there only going to be like one area that you can actually explore and do a mission on? Is it going to be like Mass Effect where you're in the Mako and everything's barren except for that one place on the map? Is that? I feel like that's what it's going to be.
The sky is just going to be a random color generator. You just go land. It's like, oh, this one's got a pink sky. This one's got a blue sky, and that's the difference. And it's just, but this one, it's going to be Star Trek. It's literally going to be Star Trek, old rocks, and just a blue sky, and then a red sky, and then a purple sky.
I feel like the idea of it being a more accessible, like elite dangerous in that sense, where it's going to be more arcadey and like you can actually land and get out of the vehicle and do adventure type stuff down there. But again, until it like proves that it works, And like as Todd would say, it just works. I'm gonna wait and see. I'm gonna wait and see on Starfield.
Did we miss Fable?
I forgot Fable existed.
Fable
honestly.
So yes, you missed
Fable
it.
wasn't in there.
Yeah,
but
we did get the first in 2 years, or has it been 3 now? We got Silksong footage, and he said 12 months, so that means Silksong will be out within the year.
Hell yeah,
which is huge.
Again, like most of the indie games, it's more of the smaller indie games that have been calling out to me. And I think one of the things as well, this wasn't the Xbox showcase, but like I'm just waiting for that Cuphead DLC at this point. I just want it so bad.
The Cuphead DLC looks very good. The boss fight they showed off seems very much true with the original. It's doesn't seem like they kind of got off course or anything.
I love the I think it's Flesher animation style and just the callbacks to video games within that actual series as well, in terms of like all the older games that they reference, and just how stylistic it is in general. I love that universe, and I definitely want to see more of that. So hopefully it should be within the next couple months.
Conversely, I was very just kind of about the show, but the game has been great, at least. I tried very hard to watch the animation on Netflix, and I was like, nah, I don't think so. Oh well.
I've not seen it. Was it more so like aimed at kids? Or
no, it was I mean, I guess kind of maybe like more of a like teen to young adult demographic or something, but it just I don't know. It wasn't really anything that kind of like pulled me in.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm just to change focus for a second, because I'm aware of time, and we haven't got you forever either. We're going to be moving on to your interview shortly. I'm just like acutely aware. Nintendo has been like a bit of a no-show. I know they did it in
I think they said they're not doing a direct.
That's crazy to me. Like, I don't know. That's odd.
But they just snuck out.
They've already
in
got
typical Nintendo news. They just threw some Pokemon out, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they've already got a couple of directs lined up that are going to be specific, right? Isn't that something you talked about lately? We're going to get like a Pokemon direct and everything like that. So
yeah, I think that I'm not sure if there's another Pokemon one coming soon, but they did that one like what was it, last week? I don't know, but I like it when they do like specific stuff, but most of the time I don't want to get myself like excited about Nintendo Directs anymore, because most of the time
to be fair, the last two they're terrible. The last two they're like. But to be fair, I thought the state of play was terrible recently as well. Just like 15 minutes of like, oh, no real news. Then you're just telling me about.
I feel like we're
coming
suffering
soon,
from the
coming soon, and it's just like.
It's
cool.
Well, we're post. Yeah. Well, I say we're post pandemic. That for the audio listeners, I was doing quotation marks there with my hands. We're post pandemic at the moment, apparently.
Yeah.
So we're feeling the effects of like what's been happening over the course of.
I'm in America. We've been post pandemic since 2022.
Yeah.
The whole year, yeah.
In terms of production, I'm surprised. Like, there's so much recycling of stuff now, because I'm assuming that like so much stuff got slowed down during the pandemic.
Yeah, so that's another hard thing too, right? It's like so many things that just kind of got thrown in the back burner because of COVID, and we're just.
And I think it's why we're looking at so many remasters, because that's the easiest thing to do. In like take a game that already exists, reskin it, chuck it out again, get 40 quid off it.
Yeah. The only thing I'm looking forward to now is the Final Fantasy VII remake, a little short 10-minute thing that they're doing on the 16th. That's about it. That's the only thing I'm looking forward to. Yeah. But let's move on. It's time for your spotlights. We want to get to know you.
Wait, we forgot the Devolver being the absolute best part of all of this. Again, for another year in a row.
I didn't see it.
You didn't watch it?
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it's
was
25
it good?
minutes. Go and watch it. It's always good. It's literally the best
usual
part of
batshit crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. They get Suda 51 this year, and he's just always a delight. Yeah, and all the games look good. You know, they showed off Cult of the Lamb, which is don't starve, but you make a cult.
Exactly.
But yeah, interview stuff.
I'm gonna have to go watch that. Yes. Yes, time for your spotlight. Let's get down to the questions. So, you as a streamer, I don't know how you describe yourself as a streamer. I don't necessarily use the term political streamer, but your streams basically cover all of the madness going on in the world today. how would you describe your own stream? Like, what does the typical stream look like for Mr.
I describe it
LucidFoxx?
as transcendent viewing experience, and
Okay.
no, it's I don't know. I just wake up every day and entertain people. That's how I tell it to them, at least. Like I'm kind of there to sit down and drudge through, like have fun with the things that we're all going to wake up and try to like process anyways.
Because
You
you
know?
like specifically you cover all the newsy type stuff that happens, right? You cover like
Like,
all of the news stories.
I'd say I pick and choose. I don't do everything. I do a
Mm,
heavier focuses on uh I definitely try to cover like some like American politics news and things of that nature, but like we have the January 6th commissions that are happening right now. I'm completely like ignoring that because
mm,
we have a ton of anti-trans bills that are happening right now. So I've been pretty hard focused on how the current political infrastructure within the United States is hard focusing the LGBTQ community,
mm.
and just kind of like going into that way. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I kind of choose what news I'm covering and whatever I feel is like most pertinent at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I
only
like
so.
it.
Go on.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I'm really it's so great to see like that there are streams out there who are actually educating people in general and like trying to share like worldviews that don't typically get shared
Mm.
in the streaming space because like so many people in the gaming crowd are kind of like just well gamers just are the ones who are
Don't
constantly
want to make
screaming we
anybody
don't.
mad. Yeah, want to
Yeah,
stay
we
in their
don't
own
want any
lane. Yeah,
politics in our games, which are already filled with politics. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
But how do you go about like choosing like the stories that you're going to come across? Is it just audience submissions, or how does that work?
I have some people that'll like submit things through my Discord and everything, and I'll leaf through that. My mods as well have like their own like submission channel or mod Discord, and I'll leaf through that. A lot of it is me just doom scrolling Twitter forever and seeing like what the most pertinent things being talked about are. I also listen to quite a few podcasts every week, so if they hit up one of the hardest things to find will be like full like articles and everything, just kind of like go through and see like what people are talking about. So I
Mm,
listen to quite a few podcasts that'll normally like grab articles of the week and cover them.
all of
Um,
the research.
yeah, so many different like because like I think Matt there's a journalist called Matt Taibbi that was more of a left sphere darling like years ago because he was very like anti corporation and very like pro workers rights, things of that nature. So people kind of like latched onto him. And this week his Substack was just like, here, let me tell you why we need to platform this turf and why she's being attacked. And I was like, oh man, all right. So like
Yeah.
I have to like wander around like every space and try to find things like that are pretty horribly obscure because they're just on Substack, but still
Yeah.
break them down and figure out like what people are talking about and why these things are detrimental that's increasing in popularity. So
It's always difficult to I guess like approach these types of conversations
yeah.
as well, especially when it comes to politics and so many people are just like abhorrently avoiding like the topics. But
Mhm.
for you, why do you think this is so important that we highlight and have these conversations for like the dummies that literally are just burying their head in the sands?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to have this idea that we should, like, as a society, like, continue to like progress forward and not, turn backwards on the strides that we've already made. You know. So I think that's a lot of it is just trying to continue those conversations that we should, be moving towards. And again,
Mhm.
I think a lot of it too is a lot of my community is just like very, either trans or gay or very, very not straight. So they want somebody to kind of commiserate with and figure out like, how to digest all these things that are happening in the world. So
Okay.
I think that's just like part of it is just like having some sort of like at least like sounding room to discuss these things.
It just sort of feeding off the back of what you just of what you just said around kind of like talking about politics and that sort of thing. This question actually comes from a friend of the show, Nicotine.
Oh
Does
God.
streaming does streaming politics ever get emotionally draining?
Every
And
day,
if so,
yeah.
how? Yeah, I was going to say, what existing at the moment is fairly draining. But
Yeah.
actually, then, how do you deal with that?
I play a lot of video games. No, I just I take the times. I only stream 25 hours ish a week or something like that. So I take a lot of the time off stream to hang out with my friends and play games and hang out with my dog and see what he's up to. You know, just keep my head like out of those spaces as much as I
Yeah.
can, because I know like every day I'm gonna have to hop back into it.
I think that's a lesson. There's probably a lesson there for a lot of people. Like I think that the world in which we live and politics and our sort of chosen paths and whatever sort of consumes us sometimes, or is at risk of consuming us. And I think it's
Right.
we're not saying to ignore these problems, but I think sometimes you just have to go outside, touch the grass, just breathe, and just turn your brain off for an hour.
Yeah, if you let it completely consume you, like of course, like you're gonna fall into more like doom mindset overall. But like there are, there are like things that we're all doing collectively. There are like at least visible solutions to some of these things. We just have to kind of like take a little heat off sometimes, and you know, take some time to enjoy things that are not constantly being worn down by the world.
So just to pivot slightly away from politics, like I've known you for a while now, and I've been around your streams, but from the moment I jumped in, it's always been that like politically focused content. But I really wanted to know. It's again, this is the most typical question in the world, but what got you into streaming, and was it like gaming that you started with,
I
or
did.
how did that happen?
I forget what I like. I used to watch Twitch back when it was like Twitch plays Pokemon, things of that nature.
Mm,
And then one year I went to E3 with a couple of my friends that were doing YouTube stuff, and I met some streamers that I had watched and everything, and like sat down, talked with them, and asked them how they felt about it overall. And then at some point I like made the decision to just kind of like do it for fun. So I played Nintendo games. You know.
good choice. Very good choice.
Yeah, I did Mario Maker for the first 8 months of my stream and got partnered, and then just kind of like never played it again. Well, I played it for a couple months after I got partnered, and then just decided never to just hard focus Nintendo games any longer. Just started playing variety and doing whatever. Politics is like the 4th or 5th incarnation of my stream, I think, and this has been the one that's like stuck. I just kind of like hopped around and did like different content.
What
Until
caused
like
that pivot into politics? Was there any like moment that changed? Again, not to pull us too far back into it,
no,
but
no.
like
I mean, we were at the point where like Hassan had started on the platform. People were starting to talk about like politics just overall. It wasn't there was an IRL category now. Like I remember many years ago that I had actually sent an email to Twitch asking them like if I could do like IRL content, and they were like, no, absolutely not. This is a gaming platform. So like, we had gotten an IRL category. People were able to just sit around and talk about whatever they wanted. So it was just so I had like front page. It'll actually be 3 years, I think, next month. I had a front page 3 years ago. And I was like, well, I mean, if we're going to talk about politics, we're going to do it on the front page and see how bad it gets.
hell yeah. Did that
And
go over well as
yeah, it was
on the
fine.
front page of Twitch?
Yeah. So for 4 weeks, every Monday, I sat around and talked about politics on stream, and then just did gaming the rest of the time. And then the following month, I did politics like 2 days a week, and then the following month, I did 3 days a week, and I just like kind of changed the stream overall to just this.
Yeah, I will say it's so nice to see how like Twitch has grown over time to become like more of a platform. I guess that's quote unquote welcoming to everybody more so rather than like it gives you the opportunity to make like a breadth of content now rather than it just being solely a gaming site because there's so much that comes along with just that gaming community too, just being like so toxic and awful sometimes and being like the most racist and like homophobic and just like bigoted potentially communities on the internet, like so interwoven into that culture. So it's really nice to see that it's like developed to be more open to who's actually a part of the community now.
Yeah, for sure.
So across all of your content, or across all the different types of content that you do, which is probably the most fun? What's the one that gives you most joy?
I don't know. There's I think moments rather than like I have a lot of fun the first hour or so because the way that I've always structured like my streams ever since we moved to just chatting, which was like it's like a 3.5 and then a 4. 4 would be like politics, right? But like 3.5 is when we started doing in IRL streams at the very beginning of the stream. So when I did that, I made sure that like the first hour of stream would just be us sitting around talking. And I think that's probably the more fun things because it turns out to be most of the time 3 days out of the week at least evolves into talking about Star Trek. And a lot of the time it's just like breaking down like what movies everyone's watching, like what what food everybody's interested in, just like figuring out things to just like sitting around like you would sit around and just like talk with your friends about like what they're up to. So
general vibing.
Yeah, just general vibing about things. So, and I can also find out about how wrong people are about like movies and stuff. So that's fun. People that think that Ghostbusters 2 was good. Keep going.
I actually think that Ghostbusters 2 was okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Important question though.
Yeah.
And this is one that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I really wanted to ask you. So, We Wednesday.
Yes.
I think my main question is.
I don't think that exists, but what did you call it? We
Wednesday. I have a question. I know this is a thing. My question is, why?
It's actually funny. There was somebody in my community like years ago that doesn't exist anymore. But they had brought up the idea of us playing like some anime soundtracks or something like that. With the regular music that I played during the starting screen, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that one day. So I did it on like a Wednesday, and then the next week I was like, I'll do it again, but only if we had just gotten like a bunch of new alerts, and one of them is the Weeb alert. And I was like, but only if somebody like triggers that alert. And then it just kind of like became the deal from there. Is like if this happens, then Weeb Wednesday stays. Otherwise, it's gone forever. And now 2 years later, it's still here, and I don't know how to get rid of it at this point. Because no one like there's no trust in the community. Everybody can't just like sit together and say, hey, let's stop this finally. So it's just become like this facet of the stream. And
so good idea that got out of hand.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, it's a monster now that I can't escape. So
yeah.
You're also involved in the Fable Scraps TTRPG channel.
Yeah.
You're Chaos on the 40k story Doom, but you also guest starred on Lovelace season 2 as a scientist from Necotia 4. Necotia?
Yeah, Nicosia. Yeah.
My pronunciation's
I was yeah.
So you mentioned Star Trek earlier. You're obviously, but based off of all of this, a huge Star Trek fan.
I am, yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, Star Trek is my obviously Deep Space Nine because it's the best of the series.
The latter half.
TNG almost gets there, but it just it's lacking a lot of the more complex like character development that we get in like Deep Space Nine, especially after Berman leaves. I mean, once he's gone, Deep Space Nine absolutely flourishes.
Oh, Deep Space Nine, when Ira Stephen Bear goes full time and the war starts after the end of about season 3, that's when it all breaks. That was like transformational, I think, for Star Trek.
Yeah,
Mia take back seat. I've got this.
Yeah, that's when Rick Bergman goes over to Voyager. Because he wants to develop like their new, because that was when they started UPN, which was supposed to be the Paramount network.
And Voyager was the kind of like the way of launching that, and they kind of thought, we'll just
wanted to go over to their new flagship, and Deep Space Nine was just allowed to become goddamn amazing as a result.
Yeah, it was just cut off as its own wonderful show that existed
Yeah.
in its own brilliant way.
Yeah, and you start to get like a lot of the kind of flirting between that and Babylon 5 as well. It just, such a good era of like television. But yeah, no, huge Star
Absolutely.
Trek fan or whatever.
I like Lower Decks. That was
Yeah.
fun.
Lower Decks
Lower
is
Decks is good.
amazing.
Yeah,
Lower Decks is amazing.
I don't like a lot of new Trek. I think it's not good. I think it's been negatively influenced by a lot of the J.J. Abrams stuff. And you see that kind of like replicated in a lot of the very action heavy like Treks like Enterprise and Enterprise also has a lot of its own problems because of like 9/11. It's very heavily influenced by those events. But Discovery is very like post J.J. Abrams Trek. And it's just not great. And Lower Decks returns to a lot of it's a love letter to 90s Trek. You know, it's a love letter
the
to
Easter
things.
eggs are just
Yeah,
never
yeah.
ending.
There's so many. Yeah. So
quick question.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying Strange New Worlds? So context, in the UK, we don't have access to that yet. Paramount Plus doesn't launch until the end of this month coming. So we have to wait. But what I'm seeing is that Strange New Worlds is kind of like a rediscovery of good.
I was worried because in the first episode they referenced Discovery, and I was like, oh god, please don't do this. But it's
you kind of have to, I guess, just to
you have to
circle that
just
one
kind
off.
of be in touch with what's and they're also like making reference to the fact that like because this is based within the time period that Discovery bolts into the future, right? When that warp opens and they go through it. So yeah, like Strange New World is taking place around that time period, so of course they have to make reference to Discovery. But it's good. Strange New Worlds is actually I've been catching up on it. I'm not on the current episode yet, but I'm further than I was last week. And it's good new Trek. It's actually
awesome.
It's a lot of fun. It's for now. I don't want to say like definitively because Picard season 2 started off good and then so yeah, Strange New Worlds so far pretty good, and I'm cautiously optimistic that it'll be a return to form for live action Trek for the first time in a couple of decades. So
fingers crossed.
Yeah,
Mia, jump in with a question. Otherwise, I'll sit here all day talking about Star Trek.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to carry on from that one first and like ask you about your experience on Fable Scraps and how that experience was. You just doing TTRPG in general. How aware of that?
I love TTRPG. I've done TTRPG for a long time. At the end of at least 4 different campaigns, and a bunch of one shots as well. I've done everything from like D&D 3.5 all the way up to like 5th edition, which exists now, and Pathfinder, Vampire the Masquerade, all sorts of other different TTRPGs. So it's fun. I had never done Warhammer before I did the first TTRPG show on Fable Scraps, so that was a new like interesting system. And it's weird because I'm playing the other game that I'm in depth in right now is the Warhammer Chaos Gate, the XCOM style one. So I understand how the systems in it work better because I understand how the 40K D&D system works. So I know like what willpower and all these other things are in the game now.
That's very helpful.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. Loveless, I think, is a little different. It doesn't seem like obviously there's roles and everything, but it seems like they're few and far in between. More to kind of like let the story narrative just like do its own thing. And it seems
It's
really
gotten
cool.
incredibly cinematic since it started.
Yeah.
I've noticed.
Yeah. It's all quite a lot of fun.
Now, speaking of friend of the show, Nicotine, I know that tonight, I think are you appearing on Suck Sunday tonight?
Yeah,
Was
we're
that
doing Suck
something that
Sunday in a little bit. Yeah.
You're doing Suck Sunday. That's where you watch like really bad like public domain films on stream.
Just the worst things.
Yeah, just the worst things.
Yeah.
So, can you give I guess it's kind of like Mystery Science Theater?
Yeah, I think that's like the vibe. We're legally distinct Mystery Science Theater.
Legally distinct Mystery Science Theater. That's epic.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's that explains what it is. Maybe you can share with us what the worst film you've had to endure so far on Suck Sunday.
I don't know. I don't want to have recency bias, but Pilgrim's Progress, I think, is what we just watched last week, and that was awful. Yeah, we did watch Transformers, which was just, so Nicotine had never seen Transformers, which I thought was very odd, but uh, uh, but I'm trying to think if there was anything else worse than Pilgrim's Progress. I don't know. We've seen a lot of maybe the first thing that we ever watched actually was it's called COVID 2025. It was a German
Oh,
student
Oh
film with a
God.
budget of like $2,000 or something like that.
I've seen videos about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is the worst thing. And
It's a film.
yeah, it is a film. And
It exists as a piece of propaganda, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. So that was quite awful.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry you had to sit through
probably
it.
the best thing we watched was Transformers, but I don't think that counts. That was just us watching a film.
Mm.
Oh, there was the special effect Union's bad film too. That was Wizard of Time and Space, which was written by a man that was vehemently anti-union, and you could tell because
Oh
every like
God.
2 minutes within the film, he made you know that like if the unions were around, they'd basically like twist off his leg rather than let him do the things that he wanted to do without regulation.
Oh
So
Of
god.
course.
yeah, I was like, oh man, well, yeah, that sure would be bad if they like paid you or whatever, and yeah, it kept you safe. That would be, oh yeah, that'd be tough, I guess.
Mhm.
Let's let's switch focus and talk about the future.
Yeah.
Is there anything you still want to achieve or that you're working towards? Like, where's the goal for this?
God, no. No, I don't know.
World peace.
I sometimes I give like rise to the idea that I'll like start up a TikTok or something like that or YouTube and work on it, but past that, I'm very just in the groove of what I want to do now as far as like being a content creator. Um, I don't really have to, like I show up every day, everybody else shows up. We both honor the pact and we like go from there. And so long as that just like kind of stays the constant, I don't know. Just gonna
Mm.
keep
See how
doing the
it
things.
shakes out.
Yeah, just
Um,
staying the course.
we mentioned the panini a couple of times, the pandemic.
Yeah.
We are we coming to the end of it? Who knows? But
Yeah.
do you see yourself going to conventions this year? Have you been to any conventions
Yeah,
this year?
I'll go to TwitchCon this year. I think San Diego's actually done a lot better than most cities as far as like pandemic, just California in general does a lot better as far as like protocol and trying to maintain safety. I won't go to the convention center proper, but that's because I don't like going to TwitchCon, not because I don't like not because I'm worried about COVID.
Mm.
I haven't really like I think the last TwitchCon 2019, I was in the convention center for a total of 3 hours over the weekend. I just there's nothing really
Why?
there if you've been
Yeah,
there. Huh?
I'd like it's just like I can definitely echo that. It's like if you
Yeah.
go to TwitchCon, like it's
Yeah.
not about going to TwitchCon. It's like I'm losing my voice on you. Like,
Unless you're on a panel or involved in an event, the TwitchCon's really only a 1-year thing. Or if you're, I guess, a fan of like streamers and you want to go meet your favorite streamers or whatever, TwitchCon's once you've seen it, it's just a bunch of energy drink companies that want to sell you like that they're the best one that you could shill for them. And gaming chairs that same want to tell you that they'll give you a coupon if you get their gaming chair. And then maybe a couple of new Twitch things that they're testing out that they're gonna eventually kill anyways.
yeah.
And then I remember the last time I was there, the Twitch Sings booth was there, so that's going good,
Yay.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just like there's no I won't be at the convention center proper, but I will be in San Diego. Yeah, so I'll go to a convention kind of, and that I'm just gonna go to San Diego to hang out with my friends.
Yeah, legit. That's the whole reason, right? You'd want to go to hang out with your friends. That's the
Yeah,
only reason I would ever go to like
yeah.
one of these conventions or
I
any
just
kind
want
of
to be
event.
I want to be out of my city for a weekend, eating nice
Mm.
food and hanging out with people that I like.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like past that, as far as like the pandemic, affecting how I attend convention centers, if there was something like an or not an E3, PAX or something like that that I wanted to go to, I don't know. I feel like confident in the way that like PAX was handled this year. That I could go something like that.
I'd probably
Um,
still like mask up. I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, of course. I mean, obviously, you contend with all like the protocols and everything, but
But the problem is, and this is not me getting into a massive diatribe about this at such a late hour, but you saw what happened obviously at PAX East, and as someone just pointed out, like it had some of the strictest protocols about having to upload your documents, upload your proof to a special app, and everything else.
Yeah.
Everyone was masked and all this sort of stuff, and it still was a super spreader. Like I dare say it's unavoidable. Like nearly everyone I'm looking at and nearly everyone I've spoken to since PAX East came away with COVID, and and of course, very sadly, there was a story of someone passing away as a result.
I saw that. Yeah,
it's not it just isn't that kind of like, I don't know. It worries me, and it's the reason, frankly, why we cancelled the in-person gaming live we were going to do next month in New York. Was just that fear of not being able to protect people.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get that.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I don't know. I just I'm trying to weigh like the idea of just continuing to get my boosters like as often as I'm allowed here, and to like seeing whether or not like things are reasonably like handled. And if it feels like they are, I don't know. I've never like I think I've gotten out of that time when I like spent all that time at cons anyways, within like the actual show halls. Like I used to just like weave through the sea of people for like hours and hours, but now like even the last PAX I went to, I was there for like maybe 5 or 6 hours, and 2 of those were in the Elgato booth. So it's just like I don't know. I think I think a lot of it is just like, how long do I even like plan on being there if I go,
True. So speaking of length, I know that we don't have you for very much longer because you've got stuff to do. So let's wrap this up. We always finish off with quick fire questions. Basically, your answers just come off the top of your head. First thing that comes to mind. Doesn't necessarily need to make sense. But we're gonna go through these. We're gonna shoot these off real quick, and yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of fun. So, Robin, you have the first question.
Let's go. What's been your favorite game this year?
God, wait, hold up. I just have to refer to Steam here, and then I can quick find. Dwarf Romantic. Keep going.
Okay. What was the one game that defined your childhood?
Super Mario Brothers 3.
Who's your favorite video game character?
I don't know. I like Chrono. He's a strong silent type. Nice. Comes back to life at some point. It's fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
What game? Sorry, that was me. What game do you most want a sequel to?
God, I don't know. Sequels are tough, because like half of the time they're just not that great.
Let's say it was good. Fallout New Vegas. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Who would be your dream stream guest? Dead or alive?
Alive or dead?
Oh, it's just anybody that I could get on my stream ever. Oh God, I don't know. That's really good. That's a great question.
Probably needs more time for an in-depth answer, maybe.
Yeah, no, well, no. I mean, if anybody alive or dead, I feel like I would grab contentious. I don't know how y'all feel over in the UK. I would absolutely grab Fidel Castro. I feel like he would be like a super interesting guy to talk to.
That'd be a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
What game are you most looking forward to coming out?
Right.
I know it's
now,
not Starfield.
What do you mean? It just looks so good. I don't know. The one that's coming out the quickest is probably Cult of the Lamb, but Silk Song is just right there. They said within the year. I don't know. I just really want to play that game a lot. I love Hollow Knight. I did everything in it.
If you were marooned on an island, a very technical island, what 3 games would you want to have with you?
It has internet.
It's got internet. Yeah, it's a technical island.
It's got internet.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
you can't escape for some reason. I don't know why.
No, you can't like let anyone know that you're trapped.
Yeah.
But you can download games.
Oh, so I can download games on this island. I would I like Super Auto Pets. That one can get in for now. I feel like that one, it's got a weekly every week, so not gonna have a problem with that. Probably Binding of Isaac. That'll play forever. I can just continue like doing whatever I want in that. And maybe like one of the Monster Hunters. Maybe Monster Hunter Rise. Actually, you know what? Yeah.
Some good choices.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
which game has the best soundtrack / music? Which game series?
Oh man, there's so many. It comes down to like a few, I guess. I've got them all on like my morning like mix that I put in on my stream. It's probably Celeste and Valhalla have like some of the best music. Yeah,
those are very good.
Yeah.
And lastly, and you can take your time on this one. Where can people find your content, and what have you got coming up on your channel?
Oh God. Oh geez, where can they? Oh fuck. No.
All the ads.
People can find me at twitch.tv/LucidFoxx. I'm also LucidFoxx on Twitter and TikTok and YouTube, probably, right? Yeah, all those places. And I don't really have anything coming up. I mean, we're finishing up a sponsored week of content tomorrow, and then we're just gonna like cover all the things that happened this weekend. So
awesome,
yeah,
awesome. And you'll be able to find that at twitch.tv/LucidFoxx with 2 X's. 2 X's.
Yeah. Two X's. That's right. Not 1 or 3.
Not
3
3
is the other site. Yeah.
Just 2. Yeah. That's the Pornhub link. Okay. Robin and Lucid, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been absolutely fantastic. I hope you enjoyed yourselves.
Good to be back.
It was a lot of fun.
Good. So I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody for joining us on this episode of the Gayming Podcast Live. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with the next episode, another fantastic guest.
And in the meantime, Mia, what's coming up on this week's Let's Go Gaming for DigiPride?
That's a good question. Every single week, you can find me on the gaming channel on our show, Let's Go Gaming. You can join myself and other queer content creators as we play all manner of video games. The next video game is not set yet. We're still figuring that out, but I should be joined by the wonderful, wonderful Obi Katie Cat this Wednesday at 8 p.m. UK time. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you hit the follow button here if you're at twitch.tv/gaming mag. And if you're not, get on over to our Twitch page and hit the follow button. Yes, go now. You can also
You've done that bit. Oh, hold on. No, sorry, I didn't scroll down. We almost.
You've not been on this podcast for a while.
I have not been on this podcast for a while. I completely forgot.
Don't worry, I'll cut this out of the audio version.
It's fine. You can,
or I'll leave it in.
Follow the Game Mag channel on Twitch. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of these amazing shows. And of course, the podcast can be listened back at any time on all major podcast platforms, wherever you get your lovely podcasts, fresh in the morning with your cup of coffee or whatever time we dump them on there. So yeah. In the meantime, if you're listening on the podcast, head over to twitch.tv/gamemag and do all the things.
Hell yes.
Nice.
And until next time, my dear viewers and listeners, don't forget to keep reading Gaming Magazine, watching all the shows, doing all the things. And we will see you all soon. Very much goodbye.
Goodbye now.
Bye.